Hey everyone, welcome to another review here on Go Mango.
No!
Alright, as always, I'm your host of Frozen Stratos. Here with me today we have
Cinder Blaze.
my dude. Welcome back. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about your guys' comments on Kamen Rider Saber episode, what is this, 32? And before we get into your comments, let's dive into our thoughts, and we will do our best to keep our thoughts short since there are quite a few comments. Thank you guys so much. I thought it wasn't great follow-up.
There was a lot of hype going in this episode. I do think that the form at least came through. Like when we saw that, it was just like amazing.
Yeah.
But it's just like they kind of bogged it down with a lot of things, and that emotional tension that we had in the last episode was not really like followed up on or like kind of transformed upon, like because we kind of transitioned like all that stuff that happened between like um Rintaro and May and Toma, like that was like the core of that episode with a little bit of Zuo just kind of like getting angrier by the 2nd.
Mhm.
And at the end of the episode, we just had like Zuo's just like completely pissed off.
Yeah.
And then Rintaro is definitely going to be the one to kind of deal with that mess in this episode. But we didn't get a feel of like too much of that. It was just like normal Zuo's rampaging.
I agree.
So
Like,
yeah, go ahead.
because as you were saying, we had built up so much, and I feel like the relief of the tension for that episode is finally getting May back, but I feel like him gaining that power up, having like the real ho hum part in between of like them regrouping, and then the bad guys trying to escalate the battle and connecting it to just things we are just now being introduced to. Like, we understood that the southern base had plenty of different resources, rooms, an entire building, all that stuff. We had never seen this for the northern base. And the fact that they were like crawling throughout it, running around, like nothing, like we were being hit with so many new things, and we were losing, like they were destroying things in the base, losing so many things we didn't know they had. So it was real strange, and then they connected him getting his power up to his master and his motivations, and we haven't seen the side stories, which we shouldn't have to, because this is the show you're watching. We shouldn't have to watch anything else to get context. So without that context, it didn't click with me, at least, that is what got him the power up.
Yeah, it was so much weaker than his May motivation last week. Because like I saw like the form like ahead of time, and I
Yeah.
was thinking he would be getting it in last week's episode. Because if there's any time for him to get it, it would be that one. And then we
Mhm.
kind of like saw like them kind of like reintroduce the master and try to like force it through that regard. Like this this flashback was something we needed 10 episodes ago. Like literally, like it was it was like the bond that was kind of like holding him loyal to the
Yeah.
sort of logos, and that's what that was for. And then maybe you can like build upon this backstory and it'll
Mhm.
still like work out the way that they wanted to, but it just didn't like kind of like add up at the right time for me.
Yeah.
um but we got like other stuff that was happening. Yuri's back, and I just read your title for the watch along, "Don't worry, here's Yuri," and that sums it up so much, because like everyone was at ease the second he like showed
Yeah.
up. They just thought like, you know what, he's just gonna carry it for the rest of us. And he kind of like brings that himself. He's like, "Don't worry, Toma, I got this. You just figure it out, whatever you have to do, and I'll just be like 1v1ing this dude who's like completely out of my
Yeah.
league."
Like, you make the plan, and I will hard carry everyone through it. No matter how strange it's going to be, just rely on this guy.
Yeah.
But I did appreciate how even at the end of their fight, they knew there was still a battle going on elsewhere, but they were too weak to handle it. And he was like, Rintaro's got this. Like, he is fully relying on him. He knows he has the strength to do it, and he believes in him. So I felt like that was a powerful scene, and it's something that I felt should have gone into some of the earlier stuff, just because we relied so heavily on Toma earlier, and that's what really undercut Blades getting his triple form. But I am glad to see that the show has grown and decided to give that more room to breathe and let Blades actually figure this out and win.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I feel like it was a better payoff. But like compared to the last episode, not as much.
Yeah, and I honestly preferred the fight from last episode a lot more. This one felt a little bit more bloated. Like it's just like a long like CG sequence of like less impactful attacks, and like when his finisher kind of like happened, I just kind of felt like, well, that's it. Like you guys were building up towards something. It felt like it wasn't really necessary at all.
It was more of a spectacle than anything. But last episode, it had weight. You could feel. I mean, like physics is out the window with Ryder most of the time, but you could feel the weight of their hits. Everything felt dire. And when they finally came together and beat him, it immense release of tension. Here it was just like, all right, well, we're setting up this bad guy for a few minutes, and we're gonna just have to get rid of him so he can get his power up. And we went through the motions, and that's what happened.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I kind of wish that they kind of delved a little bit more into like the atmosphere or just like the location that the bases are in, because we saw like the northern and southern base are basically like on like the north and south pole. Like we see that the ice and like it's snowing constantly. Maybe if we saw a little bit more of that scenery, just to kind of like emphasize that this is the power that comes from the base, because we just came out of the base and saw it like, for the first time, and then he's like, oh, this is like the legacy of all the masters over here. Like obviously we don't have too much of that. Like maybe if we saw him training in the snow or something like that, it would help a little bit more. Like that could be something that you could have added on top of this backstory. But like I think we're taking it a little bit like too harshly, but I feel like there's just like so much like more potential to this that I'm kind of like a little let down.
Yeah, they did build us up, because we went from wow, Saber's not good to wow, Saber is laughably bad. I like this. Oh shoot, it's getting real good. And then it went back to mediocre, and we're just like, oh, okay, I guess we're just gonna go back to more of the same. So I am disappointed that it isn't just like a steady progression upward. But it's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's more than fine though? We got 8 comments.
Yeah.
You want to go through them? Let's go through them.
Let's dive into them.
Yeah. All right. Our first comment comes from Yuki Miyazaki, who says, "Man, Toei is teasing us with so many bromances in this series. I can't even count anymore." Anyway, not only do we get probably one of, if not the coolest recent final forms for a secondary rider, but we also got Rintaro's story arc conclusion, and it's bittersweet in the end, with him finally having the resolve to protect the ones he loves, but also a final send-off for his masters. Master Logos finally moved his bum out of the chair and is making a move to seize Toma and Kento's bromance in the next episode. Can't wait for that. Lastly, Zeus's recolor form wasn't that great, but at least it contained some details like the scar that he got from last episode, and his eyes glow red without visual effect on some of the shots, and I like it even though it was short-lived, but nice knowing he will still be backflipping in the afterlife. Probably will. It's probably his personal hell. They turned the thing he loved into his punishment, so he will be flipping for all eternity. But yeah, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm like, I don't know, that sounds pretty good for him, you know? He gets a decent workout. He's even more buff in the afterlife.
Man, those used to be some real good thighs. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's see. So thank you, Yuki. Next, we shall move on to Chest of Greatness, who I believe is a new commenter. Welcome in. They say, awesome form for blades, but I still don't get why they cut off the part where Storius gives Zuos the forbidden power. Also, Reika is starting to doubt when Yuri said something about collaborating with the Megiddo. I hope Toma's death is one of Kento's visions. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, because we did see it, and you're hoping it's a vision rather than reality. I agree, mostly because I don't want to see him die and come back to life in some sort of fake emotional scene. It's never going to work. I agree with you. I hope it's a vision. Um, And also, Reika is starting to doubt when Yuri said something about collaborating with the Megiddo. I liked that as well. That was a small thing that I forgot to touch on, but I am glad that hopefully at some point she will have some agency and turn to the good side. She has a great suit. Definitely deserves to be a good guy. I don't know about her brother though. I love his suit so much, but it's he's such a I don't know. He's so steeped in the evil. I feel like he's in on it with Master Logos.
Yeah, and he's such a blah character right now because he doesn't interact with anyone aside from fighting.
Agreed. But yeah, anyway, next up we have Neo Gavin, who says, "Do you guys have any plans on watching the watching 01 the movie, Real X Time, and Saber show?" Yes, we have plans to watch basically all the movie stuff. I don't know if we'll get to any of like the other Saber media that's like just on the sides. That's a to be determined, but the movie stuff definitely. So just
have them
stay
downloaded.
tuned.
Have to find the time.
Yeah. Do keep in mind we have this channel, this stuff to edit, and like Ultraman or Dynazenon and stuff to do. And then I also have Soto Pop, RRR the Street. It's a lot. So do be patient. Thank you for being so patient for this episode as well. He also goes on to say, can't wait for the next episodes. Disaster and Kenzan team up fighting against Sabella. I cannot wait to see that. I want to see Kenzan go evil. He's such a piece of shit. I need him to get served some humble pie.
I have no idea how he's gonna win, but if he does, I would enjoy it a lot because she needs an ass whipping as well.
Does she? I disagree. I feel like I want her to stomp on him. She can't. She probably can't beat Disaster, but she will destroy Kenzan.
No, I want him to go like no form, just like wail on her because he finds like some cheat code to hit the mist.
Right, he doesn't have his form. He can't. Yeah. Shoot. Yeah, we'll see. Hirobi Jin, welcome back from the Kira Major episode. Nope. Zenkaiger episode.
Yeah.
They say this episode was great. Now I get it how Durandal's powers work. His power is time jumping / skipping, the power to send someone forward and back through time, while the person sent wouldn't remember the time that passed. The user and everyone else would. It's basically King Crimson if you guys ever watched JoJo before. Alex?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me completely. It makes more sense than King Crimson, to be honest.
I still don't understand that power. And this, I don't get it.
Oh, it's kind of like he just takes himself out of time and then like, he takes himself out of the timeline. Time is still progressing. They're still doing whatever they're doing, and he just inserts himself at the end so he can actually like do stuff and interact with the world.
What do you mean at the end? He's still over there.
What do you mean? Like when he moves, like he stops time, like in his perspective, and then he's walking like while time is still playing, he's just like outside of that, like timeline. He's just like moving himself, and then like once like time, once he like reestablishes himself into reality, like time has still passed, but like they just kind of like don't see it.
But there's two of him.
What do you mean there's two of him? It's that same one. He's moving through time.
It has to be the same person, unless he's like astral projecting to another location.
No, he's basically kind of like gone. That's why
No,
like
he's not. He was fighting. He was
no,
still...
like when they like go in for the dodge, like he can just kind of like disappears, right?
Yeah.
Like when we see it from their perspective, he's like gone. Like he just like actually just sent himself back, like or sent himself forward in time to a different location. It's it's still complicated. It still technically doesn't make any
So what?
sense
Okay,
because
so
time manipulation.
this is the standard flow of time. It branches into this is what would have been happening, and this is where he's moving, and then boom, it's... I don't get it.
I'll show you after this review.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Because if anybody in the comments can explain this better, please help me out.
I'll say this: don't think about it in terms of comic book time travel. You're gonna have to think about it in terms of anime time travel. In comic book stuff, they're
it
a
still
little
just
bit
looks
more
like
strict.
teleportation. It still just looks like teleportation.
I'll
What's
show you
the difference?
You don't know.
But
I'll show you.
That's why I'm asking. Okay. He also goes on to say the redemption arc for Sabella / Reika is coming. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting. And then Grayson Bullet, welcome in from the breakdown. He says, you guys got a lot of comments so far, so I'll try to keep it brief. I feel similar to Corey. Cool form, because that pretty much sums up the episode on a positive note. As always, Rintaro's actor gives another excellent performance. He makes this power-up feel earned. Next week looks like a good plot episode, so fingers crossed. He does always put in a lot of work to try to sell scenes. It's really like what fails him is typically the context that the show puts him in. So I definitely agree with you there. And yeah, I can't wait to see what sort of conversations Saber and I guess Caliber now they're even gonna have, since he's so hell-bent on preventing a future that he doesn't see playing out in front of him. It's not going to end in a satisfying manner in terms of like where they will come to their conclusions. Toma's just going to do his main thing, and Caliber is just going to be like nothing's going to change. I feel like nothing will change between the two of them. They're going to do this back and forth for another few episodes, maybe for like a whole month, just like how they did with Rintaro, and just like sort of had him in limbo for a while and then finally have him switch at the end. It's going to be long and grueling. That's what I'm thinking. But I could be wrong. I'd be happy to be proven wrong. Anyway, Alex, do you have anything else before we hop on out of here?
No, I'm good.
Cool. So thank you guys so much for all of the comments and all of you guys' support with the last episode. If you like the episode, hit the like button and subscribe. If you want to hear more from us each week, tell us in the comments down below what you thought about your thoughts about this episode. And while you're down there, there are links in the description to some Zenkaiger merch if that interests you, as well as, most importantly, links to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as links for the hashtag Stop Anti-Asian Hate. All of that and more in the section, or in the I almost said comment section. You know it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Keep it juicy.
Yep. See ya.
Whew. Solid 2 episodes, man.
Yeah. So
how's this?
it almost is like exactly like King Crimson. Like if you kind of like open up an editor, for like videos. Let me pull one up so I have like a little visual.